Welcome to Speaking Frankly. I'm your host, Howie Harkema, and our tagline is, "And how we doing?" Today I have two wonderful guests that have been in town for a long, long time, and they own the gallery at 10 Oaks. We have Dan Morrow.
Hello, sir.
Welcome. And Nancy Morrow.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on today. I'm excited to do this with you. And our topic, of course, is the gallery at 10 Oaks. But first, we're going to talk about when you owned Movie Time and the transition into the 10 Oaks Gallery and what that took and all of the things in between. So how long did you own Movie Time?
So we owned it for almost 16 years. We took over the existing Movie Time business in 2001.
Wow.
Even though it had been around going back to 1989 in town. We took it over and then we immediately bought the building that it's in now. We bought that from Linfield College. And then finally, in the spring of 2016 was the time for the transition to happen. So that's when Movie Time went away and we switched over to the gallery.
And in that transition, you had to change a lot of the rooms and set them up for the gallery and remove a lot of bookshelves and such.
Yes. Yeah, I can call the former employees and see how they enjoyed hauling the shelves down the stairs with me. No, the nice thing was the gallery transition wasn't as huge a remodel as you might think, and that was one reason it was kind of a smooth transition. In 2 months from closing the video store to getting the gallery open, we already had the track lighting all in place. That was nice. We just really had to get the shelves out of there, get the carpets out, and then redo the wood floors, which...
Talk about the wood floors. In your discovery after the carpet was removed, they're beautiful.
They are beautiful, and the really nice thing is the upstairs, the stairs and the upstairs in that old building still have the 1908 fir wood flooring, and you go up there and you hear the squeaky floors, and it came out beautifully once we resurfaced it. The downstairs we had to put new wood floors in, but yeah, the upstairs is gorgeous.
And you transitioned a restroom into another art room and put in new flooring in there.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, there was once upon a time when the granddaughter of the people who built the building came in and said, "Oh, this room up here," which was the drama room at the video store, if you're ever in there. That originally was the bathroom in the building way back when, and would have had the little subway tiles on the floor, and now you can see the built-in shelves at the end of the gallery room there, which you could never see when Movie Time had all those shelves.
Nor the windows.
You couldn't see the windows. Yeah, it's so different. Anybody who was ever in the video store needs to come back and just check out the building and see what it's like up there.
Well, it's a fantastic transition, so
thank you.
Kudos to all the work
It's
that
been
you
an
did.
adventure.
So could you tell us a little bit about the history of that building and the property?
Sure.
Okay, so we spent a long time trying to figure that out. So the house was built in 1908 by the Dodson family. The man who built it was doing, he was in charge of the debate club, I believe, at Linfield College. And his wife was in the first graduating class at Linfield College that allowed women to go to school. So I believe that was like in somewhere in the early 1900s. And so they built that house and then had two children. The husband died, I think, in around the early 1930s, and one of the...
No, I thought it was 1913.
Anyway, we have to figure this out. Anyway, he died early,
a few years later,
and one of the children passed away early, so it was the wife and the son who lived there. She passed in around 1968, I believe.
Okay.
My favorite story to tell, and everyone who comes to the gallery hears this, she was in charge of the county temperance movement.
Ooh.
And now we pour wine in her home, because we have wine available at the gallery. So that's kind of an interesting story. But she was a county treasurer. He was a lawyer here in town and county judge. And then it became commercial in about the 1970s. Yes, there's our wine bar.
With a rail on it now.
Yes,
Used
exactly.
to be a video store counter.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes.
Moved it from one room to another.
Yes. So, but to be very, very clear, we are an art gallery who just happens to have wine available if you'd like a glass as you walk around. We are not a wine tasting room, and that people get very confused about that.
I'm sure that's true.
Yes.
So what is it like to be curators of local artists?
It's great.
He wouldn't say
Fortunately,
anything else.
yeah, I'm going to come on the program and say, oh, it's awful. Fortunately, we live in a great place for the art scene. McMinnville has really been thriving and actually growing as an art destination. So all the galleries kind of benefit by being near each other and making McMinnville a destination for art. And for us, a big part of the transition was knowing some of the local artists. We've been very good friends with John Stromey, who runs another art gallery in town, a very well-known artist. I joke that he was kind of our gateway drug for getting into the world of fine art. Like, we had some John Stromey pieces early on, and part of the conversation...
And you still do.
We still do, yes. But our very first pieces of actual fine art that we owned were from John Stromey.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, of course.
We didn't talk about this phone, and I want to just mention this phone.
Yeah, please.
Talk about it.
This phone is from my grandparents' house,
Whoa.
where I grew up on the farm where I grew up. It was in my grandparents' house. My dad, as a child, used it. It was a real working phone, and it's now hanging in the gallery. And then if you crank it, it still makes a sound, very loud sound. But yeah, so there is a history to that. That is a real working phone at one time.
But it's a nice art piece as well.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
We
it just
can still
fits
call
in
the
that old
sheriff
house.
if we have to.
Yes.
Actually, we can turn the crank, and there's this horrible loud
Yeah.
ringing sound every time we sell a piece
Oh,
of art. We need to
goodness.
crank
Yes.
that. So
Yes.
if you come buy a piece of art from us, we'll let you crank
I'll
Yes.
do that.
Yes.
So continue on
Yes,
with
sorry.
your story.
it. Totally lost. Who knows
We were
what-
talking about
we were
curators
talking
of
about-
art.
Yes.
Right. So our connection with John Stromey and him putting us in touch with a lot of the local artists that we initially started with.
Right.
So in the summer of 2016 there, when we opened, we had 13 local artists originally that a lot of that was either through connections we had through John, a couple other artists that we found at the Ryan Gallery shortly before it closed that we were in touch with. So, and starting off in 2016 with 13 artists, and we're now at 40 artists that we
40
represent.
artists that have been juried in
Yeah,
and have their artwork up.
yes.
So tell us about the rapport in creating a family community with these artists and such.
It probably goes back to when we first created the McMinnville Short Film Festival, when we still had the video store going. We learned to work with the filmmakers who are artists as well, learning to work with them and what are their needs and how do we honor them. And doing that for a few years before opening the gallery helped us understand working with artists and
Sure.
their personalities. And so once we opened the gallery, it became just natural to us. What to expect, demands, some artists are really easy, some artists require a little more attention and everything in between, and it helped us be prepared for that. And we love it. And we just...
If you like herding cats.
Yeah, exactly. I understand too well.
We have many cats in our house, so we understand that too. But so we just tried to set it up as this is a gallery we would want to go into and feel welcome and at home in. We try to treat our artists that way, and every event we have, you'll find several of our artists there where you'll get to meet them, talk to them about their work, get to know them. They start inspiring each other, which is what we encourage them to do, and try to create an atmosphere, not us personally encourage them. We are not artists. We are curators.
No, you are.
Yeah. I decided my art is curating the gallery.
Yeah.
That's what I can do. But
Yeah, but the layout
just,
is beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
And
the
so it's
art.
just a matter of trying to create an environment where they feel comfortable enough to come and be there, and people can come enjoy the events and all that.
So talk about and tell us about developing, not only going out and traveling to the different art studios where they create this beautiful art and in a creative environment.
Yeah, that's a lot of what we try to do when an artist is first juried into the gallery, in fact, or once we've worked with them and we know we want to bring them in, is rather than just having them bring in a few random pieces to the gallery, we try to go to their studio ideally to see, okay, where are you creating the art, see what materials they use, understand their process, ask all the dumb questions we can ask,
Sure.
and then kind of see hopefully the spectrum of stuff that they've been creating and help pick out together with them, okay, what can we bring into the gallery first to represent them, and it just helps us better understand that person, how they make their art, and be able to then talk to customers about, okay, this is how this artist does what they do.
And possibly see some backlog that they have that you might want to show.
Exactly. Like
exactly.
maybe we can bring these in now, then maybe we can move to these later on over time. So yeah, it's always good.
Talk about the cleanup of their studios real quick, because I know that there's some
don't like
fear
cleanup.
factors involved here.
Yes. I have a list of whose studios I've been to, and I have a list of those who are a little more hesitant because they're like, well, I have to clean my studio.
No.
We said, no, we want to see it.
Yeah,
we
don't
want to
clean
see
it.
it.
Please
So,
don't clean
yeah.
it before we get there. That ruins the
Yeah.
experience.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. So now, after 3.5 years, you have how many artists?
We're right at about 40 artists right now.
Wow,
yes.
that's a lot of artists.
It is, but it's actually like size-wise with the gallery and with the experience we've gotten of being able to curate that much inventory, because that right now equals well over 800 pieces that we've got on display.
Right.
Between the gallery and the two other venues we'll
Right,
talk
which
to you
we'll talk about.
soon.
So we're going to go into the photographs of the different art.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
But first, I want you to talk about your wearing some
Yes,
art.
I'm wearing
My word.
I'm wearing art.
Oh,
So
yes.
this is a pearl necklace by Gabriel Taylor. She is an artist here in town. She started off doing silver jewelry. She has expanded into pearls, and I personally, again, this is my lack of art knowledge. I've always thought of pearls as the white pearls, cream
Right.
colored, that you think of.
Or the black
These
ones,
are
yeah.
yes, these are truly pearls. They're colored pearls and just gorgeous that you can still count as pearl
I
necklaces.
love the colors.
Yeah, and
It's
there's
so
so
different.
many of them too. They're really amazing. And we are going to be getting some new pieces here soon from Gabriel in the next week or so, just in time for the holidays.
Perfect.
Yes. Yes, and just we have a few more pieces here, so you can see we have all sorts of small art and large size art as well. So
Ian, if you would bring up the first art graphic, I believe it's, yeah, keep going. Keep going. On and on. All these were of the history. There we go.
So that's another Gabriel Taylor piece. So you can see the sterling silver, not sterling silver, I'm sorry,
Pure silver.
pure silver. I'm sorry. Sorry, Gabrielle. Pure silver, but she also added pearls in there as well.
So, Dan, would you explain about the pure silver? Because you told me a great clay story the
Yeah,
other
so
day.
Gabrielle, the way she's creating hers, it all starts with silver clay. That she is very moldable, and she can put these very elaborate designs into it.
And she
imprints.
does.
Yeah, really beautiful. And then once it's fired, then it comes out as the pure silver, and she polishes
That's
it. Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Next.
So this is just one of the shots of the upstairs. It's hard to find an angle upstairs, that shows everything,
Yeah.
but it gives you a sense of when you go upstairs. I mean, the gallery's on 2 floors, but the upstairs is the majority of the art showing. And it's just room by room. We have everything actually mixed together. We usually don't group by artist, so it
That
becomes
photo,
a
though,
browse
shows a
there.
grouping in the center, those
Right.
5 in the center. That's Susan Kuznitsky from Portland. She is a nationally known artist, award-winning artist. We had just added her to the gallery, so we set up a little welcome wall right there for her. But normally, like Dan said, we usually just scatter the art around and mix it in where we think it fits best.
So before we move from this slide, tell everybody about those doors. And
Yeah. So this door in the one room, you can see there's those freestanding doors. There's actually 2 doors that we've got hinged together, and those are original doors from the upstairs. We've got them all stored in the basement. We have quite a few more, in fact, but I swear every door in the building is a slightly different size, so we had to sort of fuse those together. But it makes a neat freestanding 3D display in
awesome.
the middle of the
Yeah.
room with art hanging on it.
okay,
Yeah.
now we can move on.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's me at Bjornson Vineyard. One of my favorite places. I love Bjornson Vineyard, and artist Hope Braska. We are out there doing a Meet the Artist, and we curate the art out there at Bjornson and at Yamhill Valley Vineyard. So this is just showing you their tasting room and how we have curated art out there as well.
Okay, we'll talk more about that here in
Right.
just a minute.
Okay.
So next,
Oh my word, look at this. This is artist Rick Shawnshea.
Richard T. Shawnshea,
Excuse
please.
me. Richard T. Shawnshea.
who's covering the gallery for us right now
Yes,
as we're here
he's-
doing
And
the
doesn't
show.
know how to ring up anything.
Yes, he does. Go see him
covering.
right now. By the time you see this,
Oops.
it's already happened.
Okay,
so
that was
back
Rick's.
to Rick
Yeah.
Shanchet. He's working in oil. And
Nope,
now we've gone
there
to
we
croquet.
go.
Okay. And this is one of the series he's doing now along the Oregon coast. There's a variety of those we've got in the gallery. He's also done a lot of work from his time in Alaska when he lived there, wildlife and tundra and so forth, and now Oregon vineyards, coastlines. And Rick is a great example of somebody who's just got so much active brushwork and texture in these pieces, and the further you step back from his piece, the more it will snap into focus.
Sure,
So give
of
yourself
course.
a good 20 feet of space to look at a big Rick Shanchet piece and really admire how he brings it all together.
Awesome. Next.
This is a croquin by artist B.G. Dodson, who's from Salem, and we will be talking about the croquin in a little while.
Yes, and
Yes.
we have more to show.
Yes.
So next, yep.
So we hold featured artist shows at the gallery, and for 2 months at a time. Linda Swindle, Jeannie Cuttaford, and Joanne Wellner, they are our current featured artists through January 6th, I believe. And so we do a little postcard to advertise.
Sure.
But yeah, every 2 months we trade out the show, and they happen to be our artists right now.
So textiles,
Yes.
Yeah?
beautiful.
Yes, Linda does amazing work. She has watercolor scarves that she hand paints on silk scarves. She does these toppers. This one is not, this is a little more unique topper, but toppers that just go over your head and cover your shoulders. One size fits all, so you don't have to worry about the size.
Awesome.
And she fuses wool together. It's really a fascinating way she does it. It's she takes fabric and she uses wool and fuses it all together in this process. A little long to go into on the show, but yeah, very meticulous work.
Awesome. Next.
For the first time, we are hosting the Yamhill County area high schools. This past March, we hosted McMinnville High School art students, and in January, we're hosting the other county high schools, Delphian, Sheridan, Amity, Yamhill County, or Yamhill Carlton, in a student showcase.
Dayton,
and
et cetera.
Dayton and
Yeah,
Willamina,
sure,
yep. And then in February, we'll be hosting McMinnville and Newburgh. So we're excited to showcase the student art in January and February.
So 2020, a
Yes.
good look
Yeah.
forward.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, here is artist Dan Homeris, who on my weekly Facebook videos, I make fun that he's my arch nemesis as an artist, but he's actually, don't tell anybody, but he's one of the nicest guys in the world and a longtime member of the community. If you go to Joe Dancer Park, you'll see Dan Homeris Field down there, one of his watercolor pieces. I think of a wine bar here in McMinnville for this one.
Next.
Ann Kavanaugh. Ann Kavanaugh is from Battleground, Washington, and she does these fused glass pieces that are just stunning in color. It's all glass.
Talk about the layering process.
Yeah, so she has a tray and she has all these glass powders and she just lays them on one at a time. If I recall, she uses hairspray to spray on them to hold the powder together. So while she keeps making the layers, it gives a 3D depth to it and look.
Yeah.
It's just stunning. And it comes out to about maybe half an inch thick, if that.
Yeah, they're pretty deep, but when
They're
you see,
pretty
I mean,
deep.
seeing it in person, you can move around and see how three-dimensional it
Yeah.
is as you look
Right,
through
this
it.
this picture does not do it justice
No.
because when I was looking at it the other day, I wanted to be at different
Yeah.
angles
Right.
because you can really see the depth.
Right, and
it's gorgeous.
and the lighting, like a lot of people think, oh, glass should go in front of a window. Not necessarily. Hers is better with a little more diffused lighting. It really it brings out more of the colors.
And you have a lot of
design,
her
and
artwork.
We do. Yes. Yes.
So next,
Yeah.
And this is photographer artist Joel Zach. So Joel, who also works for us at the gallery on some weekends, this all starts as photography for Joel. He's been a professional photographer for over 40 years, and then he has fallen in love with kind of this digital transformation process. So starting with his photography and then winding up with something like this. And we've got a lot of examples at the gallery that show what he's doing with photography now.
And digital art is hard because people still say, oh, that's a computer. Well, yes, it is a computer, but the computer, think of it as the paintbrush.
Right.
The artist still has to have the vision. They still have to capture a vision in their mind and put it onto canvas, whether it's printed or painted on. That
Sure.
computer just becomes the paintbrush. It's not as simple as you're jumping into Photoshop, as a lot of people say, but it's not. There still has to be a vision there, and they have to come up with the right colors and design. So if you just think of the computer as a paintbrush instead of the actual paintbrush, people tend to, oh, I can see that now.
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Well, digital is coming to the forefront of
Yes.
artwork, and with some of the rendering packages you can buy now,
Right.
it's amazing what can happen.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yes.
Next.
Paintings to poems. So we host the monthly McMinnville Public Library Poetry Nights, and through that we've been working with Courtney Terry on adding in an event called Paintings to Poems. We try to do it about 3 times a year, I would guess, something like that, 2 or 3 times a year. Anybody is welcome to do this. You come in, you get inspired by a piece of art, you have an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to write a poem, and then we share them during open mic. And then afterwards we try to collect the poems. Some people don't give us their poems, but we try. And then I type them up and I hang them next to the piece of art. So they're there in the gallery. And customers absolutely love it. They get so excited when that poem goes out with the art that they buy. So it's a lot of fun, and some people call it cheating, but you're also encouraged, if you'd like, to come in ahead of time. If you'd rather do that, if you can't write very quickly, you're welcome to come in ahead of time. But some of the poets give each other a bad time about cheating. It's not.
Well, it's wonderful that the artist doesn't have to write a statement about their art piece,
Right.
and that someone else can say,
Yes.
listen, this is what I saw, this is
Exactly.
what I felt.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
and it's such a compliment
Yeah.
to the artist too to have
Yeah.
a poem written about one of their pieces that inspired
Yeah.
that
Oh,
poetry.
the artists
Yeah,
love it.
it's
They
great.
love seeing what someone's interpretation of their art is.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back and talk about Bjornson and Yamhill Valley Vineyards and showing your larger art pieces
Right.
out there. And if they sell them, they get a little commission.
Right,
And
yeah.
the artist too. And
Exactly. So we've branched out into having these tasting rooms where we curate the art out there. It becomes basically kind of a virtual extension of the gallery. Adding
Exactly.
wall space, we list it through our website that way that it's out at this venue. We keep a sampling of different artists and we rotate through the vineyards. It's a win-win both directions because they're getting art curated out there and getting a percentage of the sale, and then our artists are getting that much more exposure to all the traffic that is pouring through these tasting rooms
Exactly.
every year, and channeling people to the gallery. And then we also pour their wines in the gallery at events and give people a reason to go out to the tasting room to see
And
more
I
art.
just tried the Bjornson the other day, and it was
Yeah.
delicious.
Wonderful.
So,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
So now we're going to talk about Bob Dodson and the Crokins.
Okay.
So we're all
Okay,
going to
the-
grab
the-
one of
the
these.
cult of the Crokin.
Yes.
Okay, so this one and the one you have, Howie, are 2 of our originals. These came in for Bob Dodson's show a couple of years ago, and when he brought them in and opened that box, they just became characters. And we started telling stories. This is the Queen, and this is the Jester. Dan says this is me because I'm always yakking, and that's probably more him because he's always looking confused. So we just tell little stories, and when they heard we were coming here today, they insisted on coming with us. You don't buy a Crokin, you adopt a Crokin.
Of course.
And you get a little certificate of adoption as well. But these have quite the cult following. We have sold over 300.
Over 330 handmade distinct
Yes,
Crokin
distinct
that Bob
Crokin.
has created
We
in just
have
the last 2
a
years.
Crokin family reunion. We've done
Ooh.
2 now, and people absolutely love them. This is a Snowkin. This is a brand new design for the holiday season. This one's available at the gallery. Act quickly, though, because we had 10 of them on Friday, and we're
Supplies
down
are
to
limited.
2, I think, right now. But yeah, they're just a lot of fun, and they have their own little personalities. They've progressed over time. We have a doctor right now at the gallery. We have graduates for Linfield colors and McMinnville High School colors. We have aliens when the UFO Festival happens in May, and just a lot of fun. And then people get a kick out of naming them. And if I see somebody upstairs looking at them, I'll come up and just even say, okay, they're very mischievous, so you have to be careful. And people really get into that and start looking at personalities then instead of just the ceramic figurine.
And the Crokins are relatively inexpensive.
They
Talk
are.
about
They
that.
are. Yeah, he's kept the price point between $25 and $40 for each of the Crokin, and intentionally keeping the price lower than he could. A lot of people come down from Portland and saying, "Why on earth are you selling these so
Right.
cheaply?" He wants to keep moving them out there and get people to,
Adopt them.
Adopt them.
Yeah,
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Just don't feed them after midnight.
Yes.
Oh, they're like gremlins.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
That's on the adoption card
Yes.
too.
So let's talk about your ideal customer, because you guys range from a really minimal price point to a very elongated price
Yes.
point.
Yes.
And who do you want to come in?
We want anybody to come in, whether they know art or not. Dan and I knew nothing about art before we took over this business, and we have just been learning. So we want it to be a very welcoming environment. All you have to know about art is what you like or don't like. That's all you have to know. You don't
Right.
have to know if it's a watercolor or an acrylic or anything like that. Just, do you like it? Do you feel a connection with it? But then we also want the art collectors of the world to come in, because we have such fine art available, and everyone in between. No question is too dumb or too silly to ask. We ask a lot of dumb and silly questions of our artists, trying to learn ourselves. So yeah, just anybody, whether you know art or not, just come in.
Well, even the person who's been a curator forever doesn't know everything about art.
Right.
Of course.
So it's all a learning process.
Right.
And so your customers can come in and go, I know nothing, but I want this.
Exactly.
This is exactly what I'm looking for.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what are the strengths for you guys of Nancy being on the Yamhill County Tourism Board?
So there is a committee that's working on tourism right now for our county,
Right.
and I represent arts and culture. So I have reached out to all the art gallery owners in the community, and I've been trying to reach out to the cultural groups as well, which is a little more challenging because there's so many of them.
Oh, huge amount.
But still working on that. And so basically, my voice is representing arts and culture and making sure that the county acknowledges us as one of the tourism goals for people coming here.
Sure, into wine country.
Into wine country. Art and wine just go hand in hand.
howdy.
Yeah.
And I would think the collaboration between the galleries now is better because
It's
of
so
this.
much better. I'm determined to continue working on getting the gallery owners to talk about herding cats. Gallery owners are just as bad. We are just as bad. But we have a core group right now who in the past year has been regularly meeting. We continue to add more gallery owners as their schedules or as they hear about us. And we are starting to collaborate and really make Yamhill County a home for the art, for anybody who loves art. I think we have about 15 galleries
Wow.
in the county. One of the largest presence is outside of Portland, I should say. We probably have one of the most condensed art presences, plus all the events that we do. Like
Well,
Art
it's a
Heart
great
Studio
destination
Tour.
for the
It is.
reason of wine, but
is.
Yes.
now for art.
Yes. And, like I said, we have wine available. Mecca has wine available. And many of the 3rd Street art galleries
Sure.
are next door to a wine tasting room. So wine is still very easily accessible to all the art galleries.
So we have about a minute left. Let's talk about the McMinnville Short Film Festival and its history a little bit and what's coming up.
Okay.
Yep. So we we created a video contest in 2011, which has spun into the worldwide McMinnville Short Film Festival now 9 years later. It's going to be, the entries are closed for this year, but it's going to be the end of February this year, February 21st through 23rd. We will be showing 85 official selections across 9 different screenings on 3 days that weekend. We've gotten tons of local support and films coming from locally and from around the world.
How many submissions?
85 this year.
85 this
yeah.
year.
So I
No,
mean
85
that are being
films.
selected.
Shown.
We had well over 200 submissions this year that we had
Almost
to
250, yeah.
yeah, to whittle down to the number.
How do you do that?
It's a ton of work
Yes.
and lots of people
Yes.
working on screening and curating and again.
And if I
curating
can
art.
jump in, if you're seeing that visual up there of the logo, that design is by our own McMinnville's own Carrie Savage, who is a teacher at the high school
Right.
and an artist. We did a call to artists this year for designs, and her design won. And that's the other thing, we're trying to connect the film festival with the artist community. So each year we will be putting out a call to artists to try to get a design created.
And who's your keynote speaker?
Scott Ballard will be our keynote speaker
He's a
this
Portland
year.
filmmaker.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
So it's been a blast to do
Yes.
this. Time flies, right?
Yes,
Yes.
it does.
We're all done.
Yes.
So thank you very much,
Thank
Dan.
you so much,
Thank
Howie.
you
Thanks,
so
Howie.
much,
Appreciate it.
Nancy.
Yes.
It was a blast to
Big
have you
Mark
on.
Ken.
We'll have you back on to talk more about the film festival in January,
Yay.
along with your executive director, who is
Justin Zimmerman.
There you go.
Yes.
So thank you very much for watching today. Hope you enjoyed all of the artwork, and go to Ten Oaks and see all of the incredible artists. And if not for the art, go in for the poetry night, because that's a fantastic venue to do your poetry. You can do it yourself if you want. So jump right in there. Thanks for watching today.